Vincent Sterling stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his Manhattan penthouse. Watching the city buzz 30 floors below, his reflection stared back at him, a man who had everything money could buy, but felt emptier than the abandoned coffee cup on his marble desk. The Sterling tech empire had made him one of the youngest billionaires in America. But success came with a price he was no longer willing to pay. His mother, Helena, had been calling all morning about the engagement party. The thought of marrying Diana Westfield made his stomach turn. She was beautiful, wealthy, and perfectly suitable according to his mother's standards. But she felt like a business transaction wrapped in designer clothing. Their conversations revolved around stock portfolios and social events, never about dreams, fears, or anything that mattered to the heart. "Mr. Sterling, your cleaning lady is here," his assistant announced through the intercom. Vincent barely glanced up as Sophia Rivera entered his office with her cleaning supplies. She moved with quiet efficiency, her dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, wearing the standard blue uniform of the cleaning company. What caught his attention was the way she hummed softly while working, a melody that seemed to fill the sterile space with warmth. Sophia had been cleaning his penthouse for 3 months now, but they had barely exchanged more than polite greetings. She was always professional, arriving precisely at 9 in the morning and finishing by noon. Today, however, something was different. Her usual bright demeanor seemed strained, and he noticed her hands trembling slightly as she dusted his bookshelf. "Everything all right?" Vincent found himself asking, surprising them both. Sophia looked up, startled. "Oh, yes, sir. Just a long morning." Before Vincent could respond, his phone rang. Helena's sharp voice filled the room through the speaker. "Vincent, darling, I'm on my way up. Diana is with me, and we need to finalize the engagement announcement. For tomorrow's board meeting?" Vincent's blood ran cold. The engagement announcement. His mother had been pushing this arranged marriage for months, claiming it would strengthen both family businesses. He had been stalling, hoping to find a way out, but time had run out. "We'll be there in 5 minutes," Helena continued. "Make sure you're presentable." The line went dead, leaving Vincent staring at the phone in panic. 5 minutes to figure out how to avoid a marriage he didn't want. His eyes fell on Sophia, who was pretending not to have heard the conversation while she organized his files. "Sophia," he said suddenly, causing her to look up with wide brown eyes. "I need your help, sir. My mother is about to walk through that door and announce my engagement to a woman I don't love. I need to convince her that I'm already with someone." Sophia blinked, confusion clear on her face. "I don't understand what you're asking me to do. I'm asking you to pretend to be my girlfriend, just for today, just to buy me some time." The request hung in the air between them like a live wire. Sophia's expression shifted from confusion to disbelief to something that looked almost like anger. "Mr. Sterling, I clean your house. I'm not an actress. No, it sounds crazy, but I'm desperate. My mother has been planning my life since I was born, and this marriage will trap me forever. I need her to believe I'm already committed to someone else." Sophia set down her cleaning supplies and faced him fully. "And you thought of me because I'm convenient. It's because I'm here and desperate enough to do anything for money." Her words stung because they held a grain of truth, but Vincent realized there was more to it than convenience. In the 3 months she had been working for him, Sophia had been the only genuine person in his life. She treated him like a normal human being, not a walking bank account or business opportunity. "It's not like that," he said, though he wasn't entirely sure what it was like. "I just need someone real, someone who won't be doing it for social climbing or business connections." What exactly would this pretending involve? Nothing inappropriate? Just let my mother believe we're dating. Maybe hold my hand, act like you care about me. I'll pay you $50,000 for 1 day. Sophia's eyes widened. $50,000 was more money than she made in 2 years of cleaning houses. It could cover James's medical bills, his school fees, and maybe even allow her to take a vacation for the first time since becoming a mother. 50,000, she repeated slowly, for 1 day, just until I can figure out a real solution. The elevator chimed, signaling his mother's arrival. Vincent looked at Sophia desperately. "Please, I know it's crazy, but I'm out of options." Sophia thought about her 8-year-old son James, who needed surgery for his chronic ear infections. She thought about the bills piling up on her kitchen table and the second job she had been considering. $50,000 could change everything. One day, she said firmly, and we have rules. Anything. No kissing without warning me first. No touching inappropriately. And you explained to your mother that I'm not some gold digger you picked up? Vincent nodded eagerly. Deal. The elevator doors opened, and Helena Sterling swept in like a force of nature. She wore a cream-colored Chanel suit and carried herself with the authority of someone who had never heard the word no. Behind her followed Diana Westfield, a stunning blonde in a red dress that probably cost more than Sophia's car. Darling, Helena began, then stopped abruptly when she noticed Sophia standing beside her son. I didn't realize you had company. Vincent took a deep breath and reached for Sophia's hand. She allowed him to take it, though her palm was slightly damp with nervousness. Mother Diana, I'd like you to meet Sophia Rivera, my girlfriend. The silence that followed was deafening. Helena's perfectly applied makeup couldn't hide her shock, while Diana's mouth fell open in a way that was definitely not attractive. You're... What? Helena managed to say. My girlfriend, Vincent repeated, squeezing Sophia's hand gently. We've been dating for several months now. Helena's eyes narrowed as she studied Sophia from head to toe, taking in the cleaning uniform and simple appearance. And what exactly do you do, Miss Rivera? Sophia lifted her chin, meeting Helena's gaze directly. I'm a house manager, Mrs. Sterling. I help busy professionals maintain their homes and organize their lives. It wasn't entirely a lie. Sophia did manage houses, just not in the way Helena was probably imagining. How fascinating, Helena said, in a tone that suggested she found it anything but fascinating. And where did you two meet? Vincent jumped in before Sophia could answer. She was recommended by a friend. Sophia has an MBA from Columbia and specializes in high-end residential management. Sophia tried not to choke. She had barely finished high school before getting pregnant with James, but she played along, nodding confidently. Diana finally found her voice. Vincent, what about our engagement? My father already spoke with the Times about the announcement. Sorry, Diana, but I can't marry you. I'm in love with Sophia. The words came out more convincingly than Vincent had expected, and for a moment, even he almost believed them. Sophia looked up at him with surprise, and he squeezed her hand again, hoping she would play along. This is ridiculous, Helena snapped. Vincent, we need to discuss this privately. There's nothing to discuss, Mother. I've made my choice. Helena's face flushed with anger, but she maintained her composure. Very well, Diana. Perhaps we should leave these two to their delusions. This conversation isn't over, Vincent. After they left, Sophia and Vincent stood in awkward silence, still holding hands. Finally, Sophia pulled away and stepped back. That was terrifying, she admitted. You were perfect. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Your mother doesn't believe us for a second. She's going to dig into my background and figure out exactly who I am. Vincent ran his hands through his hair. We'll figure it out. Maybe I can create a fake background for you, some documents that show you went to Columbia. You want to commit fraud now? I want to avoid marrying someone I don't love? Sophia studied his face, seeing genuine desperation there.
Oh.
Despite his wealth and privilege, Vincent looked lost and scared. It reminded her of James when he was overwhelmed by school or worried about his health. Why don't you just tell your mother the truth? That you don't want to marry Diana? Because she controls the family business? If I don't do what she wants, she can remove me as CEO and destroy everything I've built. Sterling Tech employs thousands of people. I can't let my personal feelings ruin their livelihoods. So you're trapped. Completely. Sophia sank onto the leather sofa, processing everything that had just happened. 1 hour ago, she had been worried about paying her electric bill. Now she was involved in a billionaire's family drama that could explode in her face at any moment. What happens next? She asked. I don't know. But I meant what I said about the 50,000. Whatever happens, you've earned it. And what about tomorrow and the day after that? Your mother isn't going to just forget about this. Vincent sat beside her, careful to maintain appropriate distance. Maybe we could extend the arrangement, just until I figure out a permanent solution. How long are we talking about? A few weeks? Maybe a month? Sophia thought about James's surgery, about the opportunity to finally get ahead instead of constantly struggling to stay afloat. But she also thought about the complexity of lying to people who could destroy her life if they discovered the truth. "I need to think about it," she said finally. "Of course. But Sophia, whatever you decide, I want you to know that I'm grateful. You saved me today, and I won't forget that." Sophia gathered her cleaning supplies and prepared to leave. She wondered what she had gotten herself into. The money was tempting, almost irresistible, but the price might be higher than she could afford. Still, as she thought about James's bright smile and the chance to give him the life he deserved, she found herself hoping Vincent would call. The elevator doors closed behind her, and Vincent was alone again with his reflection in the windows. For the first time in months, he felt something other than resignation about his future. Sophia Rivera had brought something into his sterile world that he hadn't expected: hope. The next morning, Sophia stared at her reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror of her small apartment. Dark circles under her eyes told the story of a sleepless night spent weighing impossible choices. James was eating cereal at their tiny kitchen table, chattering about his upcoming school field trip, blissfully unaware that his mother's life had taken a dramatic turn. "Mama, why do you look worried?" James asked, his innocent brown eyes so much like her own. "Just thinking about work, baby," Sophia replied, sourcing a smile as she braided his hair for school. Her phone buzzed with a text from Vincent. "Need an answer today? Mother wants to meet you for lunch." Sophia's stomach dropped. Helena Sterling wanted to meet her for lunch. This was moving faster than she had anticipated. She wasn't sure she was ready for the spotlight that came with dating a billionaire, even a fake one. After dropping James at school, Sophia drove to her best friend Carmen's house. Carmen Rodriguez had been her anchor since high school, the one person who knew all her secrets and never judged her choices. If anyone could help her think through this impossible situation, it would be Carmen. "You did what?" Carmen nearly choked on her coffee when Sophia explained everything. "I pretended to be Vincent Sterling's girlfriend to help him avoid an arranged marriage." "The Vincent Sterling? The guy on the cover of Forbes magazine? The same one?" Carmen stared at her in disbelief. "Sophia, this is either the best opportunity of your life or the biggest mistake you've ever made." "I know. That's why I need your help figuring out which one it is." They sat in Carmen's cozy living room, surrounded by photos of her own 3 children and the comfortable chaos of a well-lived life. Carmen worked as a nurse at the local hospital and had always been the practical one between them. "Let's think about this logically," Carmen said. "What are the pros and cons?" "Pros: $50,000, which becomes more if I continue the arrangement. James gets his surgery. We can move to a better neighborhood. Maybe I can finally finish my degree. And the cons: I'm lying to some of the most powerful people in the city. If they find out, I could be destroyed. Vincent's mother already suspects something, and she has the resources to investigate my entire life." Carmen leaned back in her chair. "What's Vincent like? I mean, really like, not the public image." Sophia considered the question carefully. "It's not what I expected. He seems lonely, trapped by his family's expectations. Yesterday, when he asked for my help, he looked genuinely desperate. Not entitled or demanding, just scared. Do you trust him?" "I think so. He could have chosen anyone to pretend with. But he chose me, and he's been respectful about boundaries." Carmen studied her friend's face. "There's something else, isn't there?" Sophia hesitated. "He said he was in love with me. Even though it was fake, something inside me responded to it. I haven't felt that kind of connection with anyone since James's father left." "Oh, honey. Please tell me you're not catching feelings for this guy." "Not," Sophia said quickly, then paused. "At least I don't think I am. It's just been so long since a man looked at me like I mattered, you know?" Carmen reached over and squeezed her hand. "Whatever you decide, I'm here for you. But promise me you'll be careful. Rich people play by different rules, and you could get hurt." An hour later, Sophia found herself standing outside La Bernardine, one of New York's most exclusive restaurants. She had borrowed a simple black dress from Carmen and spent her last $20 on a taxi. Knowing she couldn't arrive at lunch with Helena Sterling on the subway, Vincent was waiting for her in the lobby, looking impossibly handsome in a charcoal gray suit. When he saw her, His face lit up with genuine relief. "You came," he said, taking her hands in his. "I said I would think about it." "I didn't say no. And what's your decision?" Sophia looked into his blue eyes, seeing the same vulnerability she had noticed the day before. "I'll do it, but we need to establish clear rules and boundaries." Vincent nodded eagerly. "Anything you want. First, I need to know everything about your family, your business, your life. If I'm going to convince people we're dating, I need to know you well enough to be believable." "Agreed." "Second, this arrangement includes a monthly payment, not just the initial $50,000. I'm taking a huge risk here." "How much?" $25,000 a month, plus expenses for anything related to this role. Clothes, hair, whatever I need to look the part." Vincent didn't hesitate. "Done." "Third, my son doesn't know about this. As far as James is concerned, you're just a friend. I won't have him getting attached to someone who's going to disappear. From our lives, of course. I wouldn't want to confuse him." "Out way." "And finally, when this is over, it's over. No strings, no complications, no attempt to extend it beyond what we agree to." Vincent paused at this last condition, something flickering across his face that Sophia couldn't quite read. Understood. They were interrupted by the maudity. "Mr. Sterling, your table is ready." Helena Sterling was already seated at a corner table with a perfect view of the restaurant. She wore a navy blue suit that probably cost more than Sophia's monthly rent, and her silver hair was styled in an elegant chignon. When she saw them approaching, her smile was polite but cold. "Vincent, darling. And Miss Rivera, how lovely to see you again." Sophia took a deep breath and channeled every confident woman she had ever admired. "Mrs. Sterling, thank you for inviting me. This is such a beautiful restaurant. It's one of our favorites. Vincent, you should have told me you were bringing Sophia here before. We could have arranged a proper introduction." Vincent helped Sophia into her chair, his hand briefly touching her shoulder in a gesture that felt surprisingly natural. "Sophia is a private person, Mother. She's not comfortable with a lot of attention." "How refreshing," Helena said in a tone that suggested it was anything but refreshing. "Tell me, Sophia, what does your family think of your relationship with Vincent?" Sophia had prepared for this question. "My family is very supportive. They want me to be happy, and Vincent makes me happy. And what family is that exactly?" "Do you have siblings?" "I have a son," Sophia said simply, deciding that honesty was the best policy on this point. "James is 8 years old." Lena's eyebrows rose slightly. "A son. How lovely. And his father is not in the picture," Sophia replied firmly, in a tone that discouraged further questions. Vincent reached across the table and took her hand. "James is an amazing kid. Smart, funny, kind. I've really enjoyed getting to know him." It was a complete lie, since Vincent had never met James. But Sophia was touched by the protective way he deflected his mother's obvious disapproval. The waiter arrived to take their orders, giving Sophia a moment to study the menu and panic silently about the prices. Vincent seemed to sense her discomfort and smoothly ordered for both of them, choosing items that sounded delicious without being the most expensive options. So Sophia Helena continued once the waiter left. "Vincent tells me you have an MBA from Columbia. What was your concentration?" Sophia's heart raced. This was the lie Vincent had told, and she had to maintain it. Business management with a focus on organizational psychology. I was particularly interested in how physical environments affect productivity and well-being. It wasn't entirely false. Sophia had always been fascinated by those concepts, even if she had learned about them through library books rather than university courses. Fascinating. "And you chose to go into residential management rather than corporate consulting?" "I find it more personally rewarding. There's something satisfying about creating beautiful, functional spaces where people can thrive." Helena nodded thoughtfully. "And how did you and Vincent meet?" "He's been rather vague about the details." Sophia glanced at Vincent, who gave her an encouraging smile. "Through a mutual friend who thought we'd have a lot in common." She was right. "What friend?" The questions were coming too fast, and Sophia could see that Helena was systematically trying to poke holes in their story. She decided to take a different approach. "Mrs. Sterling, I can tell you're concerned about Vincent's relationship with Me. I understand that completely. If I had a son, I'd want to make sure anyone he was serious about was worthy of him. Helena looked surprised by Sophia's directness. The truth is, Sophia continued, I never expected to fall for someone like Vincent. We come from very different worlds. But sometimes connections happen in unexpected ways, and you have to decide whether to embrace them or let fear keep you from something beautiful. Vincent stared at her in amazement. She was handling his mother better than anyone ever had, with a combination of respect and quiet strength that was completely disarming. How refreshing to meet someone so direct, Helena said, and for the first time, her smile seemed genuine. Vincent has dated so many women who tell me exactly what they think I want to hear. I'm not very good at telling people what they want to hear, Sophia admitted. It's probably a character flaw. On the contrary, I find it quite appealing. The rest of lunch passed more smoothly, with Helena asking about Sophia's interests, her goals, and her relationship with Vincent. Sophia found herself relaxing slightly, though she remained alert for trap questions. As they prepared to leave, Helena turned to Vincent. I like her, she said simply. She's intelligent, honest, and she clearly cares about you. Vincent looked stunned. His mother had never approved of any woman he had dated. However, Helena continued, I hope you understand that any serious relationship will require careful consideration. Our family has certain responsibilities and expectations. I understand, Mother, Vincent replied. I think you'll find that Sophia exceeds any reasonable expectations. Outside the restaurant, Vincent and Sophia walked slowly toward his car, both processing what had just happened. That went better than I expected, Sophia said. Are you kidding? That was a miracle. My mother actually likes you. She's not as scary as I thought she'd be. Intimidating, yes, but she obviously loves you and wants you to be happy. Vincent stopped walking and turned to face her. Sophia, what you said in there about connections happening in unexpected ways, about deciding whether to embrace them or let fear keep you from something beautiful, did you mean that? Sophia felt her cheeks warm under his intense gaze. Playing a role, Vincent, saying what needed to be said, right, of course. But as they drove back to his penthouse, both of them wondered if the line between playing a role and feeling something real was beginning to blur. The chemistry between them had felt natural during lunch, and the way Vincent had protected her from his mother's probing questions had touched something deep in Sophia's heart. When they reached his building, Vincent turned to her. Charity gala this weekend. The Sterling Foundation's annual fundraiser. I need you to come with me. Another performance? Another performance, he confirmed. But Sophia, I want you to know that what I said about James, about enjoying getting to know him, I meant that. I'd like to meet him, if you're comfortable with that. Sophia hesitated. Introducing James to Vincent would make this arrangement more complicated, more real. But looking at Vincent's sincere expression, she found herself nodding. Maybe we could have dinner sometime, something casual. As Sophia rode the subway home to her small apartment, she thought about the strange turn her life had taken. The span of 2 days, she had gone from struggling to pay bills to dining at exclusive restaurants and preparing for charity galas. The money would change everything for her and James. She was beginning to realize that Vincent Sterling might change something in her heart as well. The question was whether she was brave enough to let him. 3 weeks into their arrangement, Sophia found herself standing in Vincent's penthouse kitchen at 7 in the morning, making pancakes while he read business reports at the breakfast bar. It had become their routine on the days she wasn't officially cleaning. She would arrive early. They would go over their schedule, and somehow it always involved sharing a meal. James has a soccer game this Saturday, Sophia mentioned, flipping a pancake with practiced ease. You said you wanted to meet him? Vincent looked up from his tablet, and Sophia noticed the nervous energy that suddenly filled his posture. Over the past weeks, they had grown comfortable with each other in ways that surprised them both. Their fake relationship had developed. A rhythm that felt increasingly natural, but introducing her son was uncharted territory. Are you sure you're ready for that? Vincent asked. Once I meet James, this becomes more complicated. Sophia plated the pancakes and slid them across the marble counter. It's already complicated, Vincent. Yesterday, your mother invited me to her book club. Next week, we're attending your cousin's wedding together. We're past the point of keeping things simple. Truth was, their arrangement had evolved into something neither of them had anticipated. What started as a business transaction now included long conversations over coffee, comfortable silences while they worked in the same space, and moments of genuine connection that had nothing to do with fooling his family. What do I need to know about 8-year-old boys? Vincent asked, cutting into his pancakes. Be yourself. James is a good judge of character, and kids can sense when adults are being fake. Being myself is what got me into this mess in the first place. Sophia laughed, the sound filling the usually sterile kitchen with warmth. You're not as hopeless as you think you are. Before Vincent could respond, his phone rang. The caller? Idy showed his assistant's name, but it was barely 8 in the morning. This can't be good, he muttered, answering the call.
Answering the call?
Margaret, what's wrong? Mr. Sterling, I'm sorry to call so early, but there's been a development. Diana Westfield held a press conference this morning, announcing that she's dating someone. New, she's claiming you broke her heart and calling into question your character and business practices. Vincent's face went pale. What exactly did she say? She's suggesting that Sterling, Tech's recent acquisition deals were influenced by your personal relationships rather than sound business judgment. She's also hinting that you dumped her for someone inappropriate. Sophia could hear enough of the conversation to understand that their carefully constructed charade was about to face its biggest test yet. Vincent looked at her with panic in his eyes. I'll be in the office in an hour, he told Margaret. Set up a meeting with the PR team and legal. After he hung up, Vincent slumped against the counter. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Diana's family has enough influence to damage Sterling Tech's reputation, especially if she can make it seem like I'm making business decisions based on personal relationships. What does this mean for us? Sophia asked quietly. Means we need to be more convincing than ever. If my board thinks I'm involved with someone who could compromise my judgment, they might support my mother's attempts to remove me as CEO. And if they find out I'm actually your house cleaner? Vincent was quiet for a long moment. Then I lose everything. The weight of the situation settled between them like a heavy blanket. What had started as a simple deception was now affecting Vincent's entire livelihood and, by extension, Sophia's financial security. We need help, Sophia said finally. Professional help. 2 hours later, they sat in the office of Dr. Patricia Mills, a family therapist, who specialized in helping couples navigate complex family dynamics. Sophia had suggested they needed to understand each other better if they were going to convince everyone they were genuinely in love. So you're in a fake relationship to avoid a real marriage, Dr. Mills summarized after they explained their situation. And now you need to make the fake relationship seem more authentic. That's right, Vincent confirmed. And neither of you has any romantic feelings for the other? Sophia and Vincent glanced at each other, and the pause that followed lasted a beat too long. It's strictly business, Sophia said, but her voice lacked conviction. Dr. Mills, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and an obvious talent for reading people, smiled knowingly. In my experience, it's very difficult to fake intimacy convincingly, unless there's some genuine foundation to build on. What do you mean? Vincent asked. I mean that successful couples, even fake ones, need to have real trust, real communication, and real affection for each other. You can't manufacture chemistry, but you can nurture the connection that already exists between you. We don't have a connection, Sophia protested. We barely knew each other a month ago. And yet you're here together, asking for help to make your relationship more convincing. You could have hired an actress, Mr. Sterling. You could have found a professional to play this role. But you chose Sophia, and she chose to help you. That suggests there's already something between you worth exploring. They spent the next hour doing exercises designed to help couples communicate more effectively. Dr. Mills had them share stories from their childhoods, discuss their fears and dreams, and practice the kind of casual intimacy that real couples take for granted. Tell Vincent something you've never told anyone else, Dr. Mills instructed. Sophia hesitated, then looked directly into Vincent's eyes. I'm terrified that I'm not smart enough to be James's mother. Every day I worry that I'm failing him. He deserves someone who can help him with advanced math and teach him about art and culture and all the things I never learned." Vincent's expression softened. "Sophia, you're raising an incredible kid. Intelligence isn't just about formal education. You're teaching him kindness, resilience, and how to work hard for what he wants. Those are the most important lessons any parent can give." "Your turn, Vincent," Dr. Mills said. "Share something vulnerable with Sophia." Vincent was quiet for so long that Sophia thought he might refuse. Finally, he spoke. "I'm afraid that without my money and my family's name, I'm nobody. I've never had a relationship where someone loved me for who I am rather than what I can provide. Sometimes I wonder if there's even a real person underneath all the expectations and responsibilities." Sophia reached across the space between them and took his hand. "Vincent, the person who asked for my help that first day, who was willing to risk everything rather than marry someone he didn't love, who makes pancakes and listens to me talk about James's soccer games, that person is real, and he's worth knowing." Dr. Mills watched this exchange with professional satisfaction. "This is what I'm talking about. You already have genuine care and respect for each other. Building on that foundation will make your relationship much more believable to outsiders." As they left Dr. Mills' office, Vincent and Sophia walked slowly through Central Park, both processing what had happened during the session. "She's right, Sophia said eventually. "We do have a connection. Felt it since that first day." "So have I," Vincent admitted. "Which terrifies me, because this is supposed to be temporary. What if it doesn't have to be?" The question hung between them like a bridge neither was sure they were ready to cross. They had been so focused on the practical aspects of their arrangement that they hadn't allowed themselves to consider the emotional possibilities. "Sophia, my world is complicated. There are expectations, pressures, scrutiny that comes with dating someone like me. Even if this started as something real, it would still be difficult. And my world comes with an 8-year-old boy who needs stability, medical bills, and a very different set of priorities than charity, galas, and board meetings." They sat on a bench overlooking the pond, watching families feed ducks and couples stroll hand in hand. It was a perfect October afternoon, the kind of day that made anything seem possible. "What if we just see what happens?" Vincent suggested. "Continue the arrangement as planned, but stop pretending there's nothing real between us." "You mean actually? Date while we're fake dating? Something like that?" Sophia considered this. The past month had been the happiest she could remember in years. Not just because of the financial security, but because of the way Vincent made her feel valued and interesting. Their conversations ranged from business strategy to James's homework. From her dreams of opening her own cleaning business to his fears about living up to his father's legacy. "Okay," she said finally, "but we take it slow. And if it gets complicated, in a way that could hurt James, we go back to being strictly business." "Agreed." That evening, Vincent came to dinner at Sophia's modest apartment for the first time. He brought takeout from an Italian restaurant and a soccer ball for James, who was initially shy but quickly warmed up when he realized Vincent was genuinely interested in his stories about school and soccer. "Mom says you work with computers," James said over dinner. "I do. I run a company that makes software to help people work more efficiently. That's cool. I want to be a video game designer when I grow up. That's a great goal. Have you tried coding yet?" James shook his head, and Vincent pulled out his phone. "Here, let me show you something." For the next hour, Vincent patiently taught James basic coding concepts using a kid-friendly app. Sophia watched from the kitchen as two of the most important people in her life connected over shared curiosity and creativity. Later, after James was in bed, Vincent and Sophia sat on her small couch sharing a bottle of wine and talking about everything and nothing. "He's amazing," Vincent said. "You should be so proud." "I am. It's the best thing I've ever done." "Sophia, can I ask you something? What happened with his father?" Sophia was quiet for a moment, then decided that if they were going to try something, real honesty was essential. "Tony was my high school boyfriend. We were both 18 when I got pregnant, and we thought we were ready to be adults. But when James was born and life got hard, really hard, Tony couldn't handle it. He left when James was 6 months old." "Do you ever hear from him?" He sends a card on James's birthday sometimes. He moved to California and started a new life. I used to be angry about it, but now I just feel sad for him. He's missing out on knowing this incredible kid. Vincent reached over and took her hand. His loss is my gain. Vincent ... I know it's complicated. I know we're taking a risk. But sitting here with you and James tonight, I felt something I've never felt before. I felt like I was home. Before Sophia could respond, there was a knock at her door. It was past 9 o'clock, too late for social calls. And Sophia wasn't expecting anyone. She looked through the peephole, and her heart stopped. Standing in the hallway was Tony Morales, James's father, looking older but still recognizable. "Is it?" Vincent asked, noticing her reaction. "It's Tony," she whispered. James's father. The knock came again, more insistent this time. "Sophia, I know you're in there. I saw the lights. We need to talk." Vincent stood up immediately. "Cht. Want me to answer it?" "No," Sophia said, gathering her courage. "This is my life, my problem. But maybe you should go. I'm not leaving you to handle this alone." Sophia looked at Vincent's determined expression and felt a surge of gratitude. Whether their relationship was real or fake, business or personal, he was choosing to stand with her when things got difficult. She opened the door to find Tony looking nervous and desperate. He was thinner than she remembered, with the kind of restless energy that suggested he was running from something. "Tony, what are you doing here?" "I needed to see you." "To see James. I've been thinking about you both, and I realize I made a mistake. Leaving. It's been 8 years, Tony. You can't just show up and expect everything to be the same." Tony noticed Vincent standing behind Sophia, and his expression hardened. "Who's this?" "This is Vincent. He's my boyfriend." "Boyfriend?" Tony pushed past Sophia into the apartment, his voice rising. "You're living with some guy while my son is here?" "Keep your voice down," Sophia hissed. "James is sleeping. And Vincent doesn't live here. We're dating. I want to see James." "Absolutely not. You can't disappear for 8 years and then demand parental rights because it's convenient for you." Vincent stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "I think you should leave. Sophia asked you to keep your voice down, and you're upsetting her." Turned on Vincent with surprising aggression. "This doesn't concern you, rich boy. This is about my family. Your family." Sophia's voice was sharp with anger. "You abandoned your family. You have no right to come here and make demands." The confrontation was escalating quickly, and Sophia was terrified that James would wake up and witness the chaos. Just then, they heard a small voice from the hallway. "Mama, what's happening?" James stood in his pajamas, rubbing sleepy eyes and looking confused by the tension in the room. When he saw Tony, he moved closer to Sophia instinctively. "Hey, buddy," Tony said, his voice softening. "Do you remember me? I'm your dad." James looked from Tony to Sophia to Vincent, clearly overwhelmed by the situation. "I think we should all calm down and discuss this rationally," Vincent said. "James, why don't you go back to bed? The adults need to talk." "No," Tony said firmly. "I want to talk to my son." That's when Sophia made the decision that would change everything. She looked at Vincent, then at Tony, then knelt down to James's level. "James, this is Tony. He's your biological father. But right now, he needs to leave. And we'll talk about this tomorrow when everyone has had time to think." "I'm not leaving without seeing my son properly," Tony insisted. Vincent stepped between Tony and the rest of the family. "Yes, you are. Sophia asked you to leave, and this is her home. If you don't go voluntarily, I'll call the police." Moment, it looked like Tony might become physical, but something in Vincent's steady gaze made him reconsider. He was clearly outmatched, both physically and financially. "This isn't over, Sophia. I have rights." "Then exercise them through proper legal channels," Vincent replied. "Good night." After Tony left, Sophia sank onto the couch, shaking from adrenaline and emotion. Vincent sat beside her and pulled her into his arms while James climbed onto her lap, seeking comfort. "Is that really my dad?" James asked quietly. "Yes, baby. But just because someone is your biological parent doesn't mean they get to disrupt your life whenever they want. You're safe here with me. And Vincent?" At Vincent, who was watching them both with such tenderness that her heart ached, Vincent is someone who cares about us very much, she said carefully. Later, after James was back in bed and they had processed the evening's events, Vincent and Sophia sat in the quiet of her living room. "I'm sorry you had to see that, Sophia," said Tony, showing up like that. "It's going to complicate everything." "Sophia, look at me." She turned to face him, expecting to see regret or second thoughts about getting involved with her messy life. Instead, she saw determination and something that looked remarkably like love. "What happened tonight doesn't change anything between us. If anything, it makes me more certain about what I want." "What do you want?" "I want to be the man who stands with you when things get difficult. I want to be the person James can count on. I want to stop pretending that what we have is just business, because it stopped being business the moment you trusted me enough to bring me into your real life." Sophia felt tears gathering in her eyes. "Vincent, what if this is just gratitude? What if you're confusing appreciation with something deeper? Then we'll figure it out together." "But Sophia, what I felt tonight when I saw you protecting James, when you stood up to Tony, despite being scared, when you chose to handle it honestly instead of hiding from it, that wasn't gratitude. That was pride in the woman I'm falling in love with." The words hung in the air between them, more real than any performance they had given for his family or the press. "I'm falling in love with you too," Sophia whispered, "and it terrifies me." "Good," Vincent said, pulling her closer. "The best things in life should be a little terrifying." As they sat together in the quiet of her small apartment, surrounded by the humble but warm evidence of the life Sophia had built for herself and her son, both of them knew that their fake relationship had become something beautifully, complicatedly real. The challenges ahead, dealing with Tony's return, navigating Vincent's complex family dynamics, bridging the gap between their different worlds, would test everything they were building together. But for the first time in years, Sophia felt like she had a true partner, someone who chose to love not just her, but the whole package of her life. And Vincent, who had spent his entire adult life feeling like he had to earn love through achievement and wealth, discovered the profound joy of being valued simply for who he was by a woman who saw through all his defenses to the man he wanted to become. Their fake romance had taught them something invaluable about real love. It wasn't about perfect circumstances or easy choices. It was about choosing each other again and again, especially when things got complicated. 3 months later, at James's soccer championship game, Vincent cheered from the sidelines beside Sophia while Helena Sterling, who had become surprisingly fond of her grandson-in-law, explained the rules of soccer to Robert Sterling. Tony had exercised his legal rights to supervise visitation, but James was clear about where his loyalties lay. The fake relationship had ended the day Vincent told his mother the truth about how he and Sophia met. Helena had been furious for exactly 24 hours before deciding that any woman brave enough to lie to her face and smart enough to make her son genuinely happy was worth keeping in the family. As for Diana Westfield's attempts to damage Sterling Tech, they had backfired spectacularly when the business community saw how effectively Vincent balanced his professional responsibilities with his personal happiness. The company had its most profitable quarter in years, proving that a CEO in love was apparently a CEO who made better decisions. Standing on the sidelines, watching James score the winning goal, Vincent realized that sometimes the best things in life came from the most unexpected places. He had started this journey trying to avoid one kind of love and ended up discovering another kind entirely. The real kind. The complicated kind. The kind worth fighting for. Sophia, watching her son celebrate with his team while the man she loved cheered beside her, knew that taking the risk on Vincent Sterling had been the best decision of her life. Not because of the money or the security, but because he had shown her that love could be both passionate and stable, both exciting and safe. Their story had begun with a desperate lie, but it was ending with the most honest truth either of them had ever spoken. Sometimes fake romance is just practice for the real thing.